again. Welcome to another edition of Arts and Ideas. I'm Sue Swinand. And today I have Nick Kantarelis with me in the studio here. And he is a sculptor, a painter, a musician, video artist, educator. He's a very creative, ingenious, imaginative guy who does a lot of different things. But today we're going to be looking mostly at his visual work and concentrating on his sculpture and some of his painting, which you're just going to love these things. Nick, I want to thank you very much for coming in and joining us today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. You have just been on a whirlwind of exhibiting in the last, 2 years maybe. I've seen you in like so many shows.
Yeah, it's been a real big push the past couple of years. I've been very motivated. I think having my daughter helped me to be a lot more motivated and things like that, definitely.
Well, you had all those years of wild abandon, and now you...
Yeah, definitely.
But you're focusing more on the visual arts now.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to do visual art on your own.
Mm-hmm.
I spend a lot of my time working on things creatively by myself.
Yeah.
So it's nice.
Some of his exhibitions, he had a one-person show at the Arts Worcester Gallery called, what was the name of that show?
Natural Processes.
Natural Processes, and we're going to be talking about your process too. And right now he has a show in Lenox, Mass. at the, tell us about that one.
It's at the Edith Wharton home, which is called the Mount.
Oh,
it's,
yeah, beautiful.
A big estate and mansion out in Lenox, Massachusetts.
And gardens.
And gardens, yeah, really beautiful gardens. And it is a Sculpture Now show. I believe it's like the 16th or 17th one too.
Yes.
And they're going to be doing it at the Mount, hopefully for the next few years.
And that's open until October 31st this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've been in shows at the Sprinkler Factory, shows at the Craft Center. Mm-hmm. You were in the 30 Under 30 and toured Boston. What other ones?
I am currently in a biennial show, which is it's like a biennial sculpture invitational show in Michigan at the Crassel Art Center, which I'm really excited for. My piece is right in front of the building, and it actually was selected as Best in Show.
Oh,
which
I
I was
didn't know that.
really happy about. There's 25
Excellent.
artists. Some of them are like international artists too.
Oh
so
my gosh!
I'm glad I.
Congratulations!
Oh, thank you. I'm glad I took the nearly 20-hour drive out there. It was worth it.
Can you imagine transporting his big sculptures? Oh my!
Yeah, that one was 21 feet tall.
Yeah.
The biggest one I've ever done.
So, and you recently won Best of Show in the Fitchburg regional show too, right?
Yeah, I was really excited for that because I put a lot of time into the piece for that. I worked really hard on it, and I was a little bit disappointed because they don't have a sculpture prize.
So it won the Best of Show by, that means popular vote Best of Show. Does it matter to you that people respond to your work? Is that part of why you make work?
Well, it definitely helps to motivate you, I think, and really reaffirm that what I'm doing is liked, I guess. I don't know.
And
it's
that
hard
it
to
reaches
articulate.
people.
Yeah, definitely.
That it reaches people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think some people don't care whether their work is ever seen, but I think communication and having people respond without instruction, is great.
Yeah, it's always fun to hear what people think, I think, about my work. It's really fun.
Now, I just wanted to touch on your music career too, because I know that's been a big part of your life. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, music's really my first love, I should say. I started playing in bands when I was really, really young. I was 12 years old when I played my first show. When I was 13, my first record came out, and you could buy it in stores. So I was really pushed and motivated from a really early age.
Were you doing vocals then, or?
I was playing drums.
Drums?
Until I was about 19 or 20, and I started a band that I sang for, and kind of as a joke, and it really sort of took off. People seemed to really respond to it and really like it.
Was that I Rise?
Yeah, that was I Rise, and that was a lot of fun. We toured a lot. At one point we were gone for 8 months out of the year.
Was that in
which
Europe?
was really
or?
fun. That was in the United States and in
Okay.
Europe. Yeah.
Ah, wow, wow. And so it was the heavy duty rock.
Yeah. It takes a toll on you.
You loved it, I know.
Oh, I had a lot of fun,
You loved
definitely.
it. How does working in the music industry compare to working in the visual arts? Like, what do you think are the pros and cons of those careers?
Well, it's nice with visual art because you could stay rooted in one place. You don't have to travel around as much. In music, if you really want to get out there and play shows and make a name, you got to put in a lot of work. You have to be on the road a lot. It's a lot of your life too. It's not.
You don't have a home and family to come home to at night.
I mean, you have your bandmates, which is kind of like your family, but you're on the road for a month at a time, give or take.
Yeah, that's hard.
It is. It's pretty rough. You can't
but
have
then
it.
You have
can't
to
hold down a
store
job.
all that sculpture now. That's
That's true.
Well, let's take a look at some of these pieces. But you also have other work. You also work at the Worcester Art Museum part-time. You're a teaching assistant. What do you do there?
I do a lot of random things at the Worcester Art Museum, from helping out in the education department's offices to teaching classes on my own or assisting in some youth classes. And
now you have a new job at the De Cordova.
Yep. There I'm doing some art handling and installing artwork, which is
all very good experience and connections and stuff. So now I want to look at some of the pieces. Are you going to start off with some of your earlier works?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
So here's some, look through some of my earlier stuff.
And
this is one of the first sculptures I ever made when I first took like a sculpture class in college. And it was a lot of fun. It's gone now. It was destroyed over the years, which tends to happen, unfortunately.
Some of your works have a very temporal aspect to them. I want to not spend too much time on the older ones. They all seem to have about balance, though, too, and tension.
Yeah, that's a lot of my work is focused around things being just set up just right to kind of hold together.
Well, that one's very geometric with balance, but I like to see that because now we move to ones that are more organic and balanced.
Yeah, so a big thing I have found with sculpture is it's really about the material and the design, but material is half the battle for me because unless you're going to spend a lot of money, it's really tough to buy materials. So I've always tried to find and build with anything I can get for free or next to nothing. And a few years ago I moved out to Ocam, out in the woods, and really natural wood has truly taken over as my material because it's everywhere and it's free.
He has a fabulous place out there. Oh my word, it's just wonderful. And right on the lake, and all of his pieces existing in the space around him in the natural environment. And it must be wonderful for you to have the opportunity to build on a large scale.
It is. It's really great for me there.
And to have all that material just coming to you.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it just literally falls on my car. I just use it.
Do you think you were more drawn to the organic? Like, did that happen before you moved out there? Or?
It did. I've always been very big-time lover of nature.
Yeah.
And especially of wood in general and moss and things like that I try to incorporate in my work. So this one here is one of my first large-scale pieces. It's about 16, 17 feet tall. And
oh, wow, I didn't realize that.
Made from all recycled materials and things I found, like an old chair.
Was that in the Art in the Park show?
No, this one I was never really displayed, and then it accidentally got thrown away.
Throw it in my direction.
Let me see.
Okay.
This one here is made from all tennis rackets that my brother smashed. Both of my brothers are really passionate tennis players, and it gets a little frustrating sometimes. So instead of letting
guy
those
who used to smash the tennis rackets, you know, it still has that precarious balance and movement, though. I like that piece. It has an organic movement, even though it's mechanical subject matter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the tennis racket is like you swing it around, so I really wanted to get that motion of
you
like
know
a
what
volley.
else is interesting about this one is the shapes of the mechanical oval of the racket itself have been made random. because of the action.
Yeah.
And also, so that kind of goes, you've put them back together again in a new way, which is like your tree pieces too.
Yeah, I tend to do that.
Okay.
Let's see. This is a piece I made for Call and Response, which is a show that happens every year through Arts Worcester, which is a collaboration with the Fitchburg Art Museum. And this piece was voted crowd favorite.
Again?
Yeah.
You were a winner.
And this is the first piece I ever had in a museum. It was in the Fitchburg Art Museum.
Cool, I remember that.
It got a good response. People were very scared of it, which I like. I think that's a strong emotion, fear.
Sure.
Some of my pieces tend to give people the willies sometimes.
Oh, now I recognize this piece from the Arts Worcester show you had.
Yeah, this is all my works in this piece here from natural processes at Arts Worcester.
God, I love the way they take on kind of a anthropomorphic gesture. You know, it looks like a figure straining and reaching. And
yeah, really starting with this one here. This is the third one I've done. And really starting with that one, that was one of my big goals, was to convey a lot of movement. Because as you could see in some of the earlier ones, and the first one I made, which I'll show you,
they're a little more static.
They're very straight.
Yes. And sometimes that's for the balance too.
Yeah,
but
these ones are harder to balance.
This one really takes on movement and gesture, and you know, it even looks like feet and little vertebrae going up the back. Very cool. That's cool.
This one is just one spruce tree, one somewhat small adolescent spruce tree which died.
And you put it back together with?
Yeah, I cut it down and kind of turned it inside out and put it back together.
Now, some of those limbs that look like branches are actually inserted, right?
Yeah, some of them are natural branches, and some of them have been drilled through and pushed through there with a hammer.
They make a beautiful contrast. Now, this is, as well as being a sculptor, and I know mostly you're a sculptor, but I did see this show, and I remember this piece. It was colossal.
Yeah, this is a series of paintings I did, which at this point is in like the 80s or 90s or something like that of the amount of them I've done. It's the series I call the Melt series, which basically...
The 80s? You weren't living then, were you?
Oh, I was. So this is, no, I have like 80 plus of these paintings in my shed.
Thought when you said the 80s, I thought, wait a minute, you're not that old. Okay, so you just have a huge series of these.
Yeah, big series of them, and most of them were in my show at Arts Worcester. But the big push with these is, once again, as I like to usually say for them, necessity is the mother of invention. So if you don't have a lot of money and you want to do a big set of paintings for a show, you have to kind of get creative. So most of the materials in this entire series isn't paint, it's household items, such as instant coffee, food coloring, baby powder, and that's most of it. Sugar.
Curry powder is very good.
You never know.
Turmeric.
I've done it. I've put them all in.
Bold.
There's salt. There's sugar. There's
it looks like
cereal,
the beginning of the world.
wheat.
You know, it has such an impact of explosive energy, and yet it goes from darkness to light, of course. But it's hard to imagine that it all feels like one piece.
Yeah.
But it does.
This is the first 9 panels I did in that series.
Wow.
And that's usually, typically people will say it reminds them of like a nebula or something like that until they get really close up.
Oh, there's another painting where you can see gravity in this one.
Yeah, so these, I've done a series of these paintings that involve no color really. So these next two are strictly baby powder, glue, coffee, and some wheat from some cereal.
Couldn't you at least use creamer?
Well, it kind of looks like it, right?
It's very fluid and organic and looks like nature. Okay, let's see another. I always get worried that we're not going to get to the end. This one is like the sea, like currents and flow, and of course flow is everywhere in the universe.
Yeah, definitely. I usually try to keep them from running, but these ones were made on a slight hill, and I couldn't. I like
that. I like the whole movement of it, the dynamic direction. Okay?
Here's a detail where you could really see the mold-like and bacteria-like qualities of the close-ups.
They look like little bacteria swimming around, of course.
Yeah, they're not, thankfully. It's, like I said before, it's wheat from some cereal left over at the bottom of the bag.
Wow.
But it has a cool effect.
Now we get to some sculptures.
So this is the first sculpture in the series of disassembled, reassembled trees. And it's the tallest one. I bit off a little bit more than I could chew when I made this one. It's 21 feet, and it made transporting it a bit hard.
Oh,
and,
my word, I can imagine.
The funny thing is, it's the most transported piece I've made.
Oh, well, it comes apart, right?
It's 2 pieces, that's it.
What I was stunned with
But
when I
the main piece is 21
when I saw
feet.
your work at the sprinkler factory is that you could take it apart and put it back together again.
Yeah,
and
that really big one.
And that
Kinda
sometimes
has to.
you reconstructed it in different ways. Oh, where's this one now? Is that
So
in
this
Michigan?
is the same sculpture. I did tweak it a little bit after a plow hit it in my yard. So I had to rebuild parts of it and change it a little bit. But this is it in Michigan at the Crassel Art Center, which is
at
really
the
exciting.
Invitational Sculpture Biennial.
Yeah, a show I was really excited to be a part of. And
Now I noticed those are painted rather than they use some natural color, but also some augmented color, which adds a whole nother twist to it.
Yeah, this one I kind of threw anything I could find at it for paint and different seals and varnishes and all sorts of weird stuff.
Now, how does it affect you that the pieces are outdoors and subject to wind and rain and snow and sleet and?
Well, they're natural wood, so they do. They are
Weather.
ephemeral. They eventually will die, unfortunately. But this one I've had in 2 or 3 different locations, and each time I've remounted it, I've replaced some of the pieces of wood and taken out a rotten section and put in a new
So you're
section.
doing surgery.
Yeah, so I'm doing some maintenance from here and
Extending
there.
the life of the piece.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, how do you feel, like I know you were talking about you had an offer to get something like this bronzed.
Yeah, this piece actually, at this center,
Yeah?
they want to bronze it, which I
Well,
think would be
that's
cool.
what I was wondering. Like, how does that impact you? Do you like that idea, or do you think that the ephemeral quality is part of what the piece is about?
I love the nature of it, because just like any sort of living thing, even though it's not alive, it was once alive. We come and go, we're temporary, but I would love to see it bronzed.
You
I
would
think
like
that'd
to
be
have
pretty
something that lasted. yeah.
Definitely, yeah, especially right in the front
I know.
of this art center.
It could be both, right? You could still have the rotting one off to the left or
definitely.
something.
When I was installing it, I noticed it's right next to this Chalui sculpture, which
Chihuly, yeah.
I think it would be pretty
Yeah,
cool
yeah,
to have
that
it
would be awesome.
bronzed if it's going to stay there forever.
Oh, I love that in the snow. Beautiful.
So this is the piece that's at the mount at the Edith Wharton House in Lenox.
Oh. Look, hold that one a second, or are you going to show another slide?
There's
of it?
a few other slides of it that detail.
Well, I want to go back to the one you just showed. You know why I love it? Again, it has this kind of longing, reaching, aspiring, and then it has so many image associations. You know,
Yeah.
it's like a ladder. It's like a harp. They even make sound, don't they?
Yeah,
when
they
you
do,
run
yeah.
an instrument over them.
It's one
But
of my favorite things about them.
the other thing that I associated was vertebrae, or they take on like monsters or dinosaurs or something.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm definitely influenced by for these pieces is like skeletal structures. I just think
because
they're
they are kind of like skeletons,
interesting.
aren't they? Let's
Yeah,
see the
kind of.
close-up.
And this one, when I installed it at the mount, their grounds people were like, it's falling. It's tilting, the whole thing. No, that's how
It's
the piece
supposed
works.
to be looking like
I had to really explain it to
I
them.
love it.
So
I
that's
love
at
that
the Edith
piece.
Wharton home.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Wish I
Okay.
could live there.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't want to pay the heating bill. Look at this one. Now, how does that ever stand? This is the Fitchburg Art Museum.
Yeah, this
piece,
one's
right?
at the Fitchburg Art Museum. It is a balancing act, basically. Even before I put the wood beams through to really seal the whole thing, I'll tie it up and I'll have it just balancing. And if you look, there's just this piece of wood here that basically holds the whole thing up.
Another leg.
And I try to make the back, I shouldn't point, I try to make the back of it heavier
Yes.
a little
I was
bit to
wondering if you had to
off-balance
use
it.
weights in the bottom.
No, I
No?
would. It would be good to, but I can't think of how to really hide them
You'd
unless
have
I
to
drill it
drill a
and put
hole and put lead in it.
Yeah,
Lead
or in the
ball
center.
bearings or something. I love the way that little attachment in the front is like, you know, like the roadrunner's foot or something.
holding on
I
for its
really
life.
like the way it looks like a knee and a foot. But also, I love the way it was installed at the Fitchburg Art Museum, and even we were looking at the painting behind it, how it
Yeah.
relates to it. And,
They did a beautiful job with that show
yeah,
this year, I
that's a
thought.
terrific piece. Okay, let's see another.
And one thing I really strive for with these is to use fully natural materials. So
Uh-huh.
you won't find any screws or anything, or nails, anything
Wow.
holding these together.
Wow. I noticed a pine tree the other day that the hole where the branch had come out was perfectly
Oh, yeah.
circular. And you could have stuck a dowel in there
Oh, that'd be
without,
great.
you know, the stick had rotted out, but it left perfect holes.
Yeah, that's the hardest part about this series is drilling those holes and then forcing the wood through it. It's not my favorite part
But
of
that
it.
really ties it
It
together.
strains my arm.
That ties it together.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Without that, it would just
And
be
you can't break the wood.
sticks.
It's very delicate. Look at the way this one looks like a crocodile.
Yeah, I kind
Like
of
a
think that too.
crocodile with two jaws, with teeth gnashing. Great.
Yeah, I
Okay.
try, when I make these, I try to not quite think. I try to
Uh-huh.
sort of shut off my
Yes.
dialogue and shut off my brain and just kind of have fun.
Yes. Let's see another. I'm sorry to be pushing
Oh,
you
no, it's
along, but
okay.
I want to make sure
This
we
is the
see
same,
them.
just a different angle.
Beautiful, beautiful. Look, at there you can see it walking with the 2 feet walking.
Yeah, they're very
Awesome.
dinosaur. So here's
Oh.
the latest one I've done. This is at the Craft Center in Worcester.
Yeah, that was in the, what was the name of that show?
Ambient folklore.
Ambient Folklore.
Really
That
good
was,
show.
That was another knockout.
A lot of cool stuff.
Wow. Is that
This
similar?
is the same piece, just in my yard.
Look at how it writhes and twists and reaches and dancing. Looks like this one is dancing around rather than going in one direction.
Yeah, this one's got a lot of energy, I think.
Yeah. There it is. Is that same one again?
Yep, same
Beautiful,
piece.
beautiful. Now you had this. Oh, I love that shot.
This one's cool too.
Beautiful. You had one also that was, this one and another were forming an arch, really.
Yeah.
That
yeah,
was
that's,
quite a
that's
stunning
the piece from Ambient Folklore, the one we just saw, and the piece from Fitchburg, just kind of put together.
And you were saying you wanted to do more pieces that you could enter into?
Yeah, definitely. I want to make some, that's my next project, I think, to make something you can really go through.
Uh-huh.
My favorite element about the disassembled, reassembled trees is when you can sort of look up at them, underneath them.
And be under them as,
Yeah, and really just travel all around them.
I
So-
have to say, I like them too in the animal category. I really associate them with some kind of moving creatures.
Yeah,
Like-
maybe that's
like
just
the
all the natural
dinosaurs and-
materials.
And the crocodiles and the whales, whale bones and stuff like that. Wonderful. So now I wanted to just mention your videos too. Now those are also very involved with organic, aren't they?
Oh yeah, definitely. I like to pretend like I'm a documentary filmmaker working for like BBC or something like that, and film different animals in my yard, like snails or the blue heron that sits on my dock. Things
Well,
like
I was
that.
very interested in that because the snail's form and his direction and
They're
the
really
whole thing of
interesting.
using nature and the natural environment.
Yeah, we don't really notice snails too often because they move so slow. But if you really see their face, they have a lot of emotion and character when they move around. They really have faces. They have eyes, they have a nose.
Are you thinking you'll do more video in the future?
I think so, yeah, definitely, as time goes on. I have a lot of fun with it.
Now you're a technological kind of guy too, from all your years on the music scene.
Yeah.
I mean, are you really thinking about doing like lengths of filmmaking?
I
or-
think so, definitely. I've done some things in the past, and I really like it. I think it's definitely going to be one of my future projects.
And And are you on the Arts Worcester website?
I think so. Yeah, I should be on there.
But there are
Arts
lots.
Worcester's great.
If you Google his name, you'll see lots and lots of his articles and works and reviews and stuff like that. So I think we're out of time, Nick.
All right.
So
We got
I'm
a lot in
going
there.
to say thanks very much for
Thank you
coming.
for having me once
And
again.
I just really love looking at your work, and I'm so happy I got to come out to your place and see it in situ.
Oh yeah, that's where it's from. That's where the wood comes from. I'm always a little bit sad when I have to put a piece at a show or something.
Yeah.
I miss it at home.
Okay, well, that's about it for today. So thanks again for joining us, and we hope to see you again next time for another edition of Arts and Ideas.